Oreste DAversa.
Hi, Oreste. This is Doreen calling from KONP Radio. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
Good. I'm great. I'm going to put you on hold, and Todd will pick up in just a moment, okay?
Very good.
Thanks for being with us. Just a moment.
It's the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP. Now, here's Todd.
And welcome once again to the program. Life beyond the pandemic. Well, starting over is going to be what it means for many of us, and that's always a big challenge. And my guest in the first part of the program today is the author of the book, Life Beyond the Pandemic, A Practical New Journey Handbook. Oreste DAversa joins us. He is a business coach, a consultant, a corporate trainer, university lecturer, and a prolific author at that as well. Oreste, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me as a guest today, Todd.
So let's talk just a bit about what made you decide to write this book. And really it is a handbook for people that I think a lot of us are in that same boat. We talk about the Great Resignation, whether it's by choice or by force. We're looking at starting over in life right now.
Well, in the beginning of the pandemic, I started seeing, unfortunately, the massive bad news of people losing their livelihoods, be it small businesses going out of business or people losing their jobs. And I started seeing things were going from bad to worse, and I believe that people are going to need help in getting their lives back on track and to earn some type of new livelihood.
It's a scary time, though, for folks, because I know a lot of people, they, had a career, quote unquote, that was rug pulled right out from under them. They'd been doing what they thought they were going to do the rest of their lives. Now they're left with trying to figure out what's next.
Yes, exactly, and that's the part that's challenging. It's not impossible. Personally, I've had to start over again in my early 60s. I took care of my parents for about 18 years and lost everything financially. So I understand what it is to start from the beginning again. But my personal belief is we're all here for a reason and a purpose, and with that belief, that would incur that everyone here has a place. You just have to find what that place is and what their true life purpose is as well.
Okay, so how do you help us do that? Because I think that all sounds great. We all, I think, want to strive for that, but many people don't even know how to begin.
Well, what I put together is a life purpose blueprint where people can really start where they are right now and start rebuilding their lives a step at a time, because that's what it is. It's a journey, and that's why I called the book A Practical New Journey Handbook. It's really starting where you are, taking a life inventory of what you have, and where you're going, and how you're going to get there. And the book, broken down into various sections, the game plan, the spiritual, the emotional, the mental, and the physical, and then you put it all together, gives you a step-by-step approach to get where you need to go. Because I do believe we're all here for a reason, and if we are here for a reason, that means there's a place for us somewhere, someplace. We may have to redefine what that new place is now.
Now, we're kind of focusing on the pandemic and what it has done to people, kind of acutely in this. But this really is driven from anybody, right? Even if you're in a job right now you just don't like, this might be a great guide for you to pick up.
Well, without question, I think we're seeing an evolution in the marketplace. And, people are always going to want to change jobs, obviously for better opportunities, for more money, and things of that nature. But I'm starting to believe, and I'm seeing this, and you and I are perfect examples of this, is people really enjoy doing their true life purpose. And once you find your life purpose, really work doesn't become work. It just becomes being part of why we're down here. And the book is designed really for anyone to get themselves on track and back on track. Because the truth of the matter is the pandemic was a catalyst to put all this in motion.
Are you surprised when we talk about things like the Great Resignation that we've seen, where so many people have just left jobs, many of them on their own devices? I mean, they said, that's it, I'm not going back.
Well, to be honest with you, it's one, it's surprising. To be honest, I think it's shocking. I don't know what these people are going to do to support themselves, number one. But number two, again, I think we're seeing an evolution where people are saying, I have to work and I have to make a livelihood, but I want to do something that has meaning. I want to do something that I enjoy. I want to do something that's tied to making a difference.
Yeah, and a lot of this, I guess we had a lot of time to sit around and think about things, whether we were in lockdowns or whatever it might have been. And perhaps that's what was different about where we are at now. We've certainly gone through all sorts of weird economics up and downs, and people have lost jobs, but this just is different because of what drove it.
No, I agree with you. But you're also seeing big companies now aligning themselves with public service, which is nice. You see big box companies aligning themselves with communities and doing work with animals. So I think we're seeing, like I said, an evolution. I'm not going to call it a revolution in the marketplace, but I will call it an evolution where people are looking at their livelihoods with a different eye now. Now, obviously, if you were forced, then you don't have a choice. You are going to look at things differently. Right. But people, I think, want to enjoy now what they want to do. They just don't want a 9 to 5, wake up, go to work, come home, rinse and repeat. I think they want to do a job. They want to enjoy their job, and they want to be tied to something meaningful.
So the book focuses on those 4 areas. You alluded to those. Why don't you go through that just a bit? And I guess the follow-up question to that, is this a particular order for someone to kind of do this guide, or how do we approach it?
Well, the guide was meant to go in order because the way I see things, a little bit about my background. I'm an interfaith minister, which is an all-faith minister, and I believe everything starts at a spiritual level, meaning that once we start contemplating things and put things into motion, they start manifesting themselves. So we start with the spiritual in that we want to really ground ourselves. And a lot of this stuff, when we talk about, one of the things I recommend is meditation. And meditation aligns body, mind, and spirit. And it doesn't have to be anything super metaphysical or super woo-woo, but it does help the mind, the body, and the spirit to calm itself and center itself. The next step is the emotion component. I really believe that many of us are carrying a lot of emotional baggage, and we keep on carrying this baggage with us, and the quicker we can let go of this emotional baggage, the quicker we can really do our true life purpose. Once we get rid of this emotional baggage, that leads us to the mental, where we really sit down and quantify all our abilities, the ones we went to school for on paper with degrees and certificates, the ones that are innate. All of us have innate skills, which is, I think, part of our life reason and life purpose. And then finally, the physical, which is actually manifesting a new job or a new business, or in this day and age, both.
Okay, so how do we get, you mentioned the spiritual thing, and it can be as simple, really, I think, as just being insightful onto yourself. You mentioned, prayer can also be the same thing for one person as would be meditation. I want to get to that emotional baggage, though, because that's a tough one for people to get rid of. What's your suggestion for how you start to address that?
Well,
do I need to get a psychiatrist? Do I got to go that far?
Right. If that was the case, most of us wouldn't go. It's basically self-work, and unfortunately, many people, like all things, some things in life we can't go around, we can't go over, we can't go under, we have to go through. And basically, it's doing self-work and asking yourselves the tough questions. In the section called the emotional, I journeyed, I put my personal journey and how I got rid of my emotional baggage. And basically, it's really looking within and doing some deep work, and without sounding too psychological or psychiatrist, you really just need to look at yourself and really say to yourself in an honest manner, what's bothering me? What issues do I have? Is it with family, in my particular case? Is it with something that you were victimized in, unfortunately, in a bad way that you need to process? You may not forget the memory, but you'll be able to process and let go of the pain, anger, and sorrow associated with that memory. So in my book, I do put the questions I used on myself, and that helped me a lot to just release a lot of these things and really let them go. Because what I was finding in my personal life, I was holding on to a lot of emotional baggage, and if you keep on carrying this emotional baggage, there's no room for prosperity to come into your life. And prosperity means wherever you want it to mean, be it financial, be it emotional, be it family, be it health, or be it all of the above.
Okay, so how long does this process take, and maybe that's a loaded question because I would imagine it depends on who you are and what you're dealing with.
Well, that's the short answer question. It'll take anywhere from weeks to months. It really depends on how much time you put into the program. Well, when I work with coaching clients, I suggest a minimum of 3.5 months. If you're doing this on your own and you're diligent, you can probably knock it out in 30 days. The book was designed to have milestones after each chapter to do exercises, so you know you've mastered the material. The material's not difficult, and most of it we already know. The challenge, like everything else, is to actually do the work. We all know what to eat, and we all know we should exercise. The challenge is eating right and getting up every day and walking.
Do you place in your book ways to keep us motivated on that track?
Well, I do give people motivational quotes in the beginning of each section to keep people motivated to keep on moving on. As the saying goes, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. And unfortunately, there's no shortcuts to doing the things we really need to do. It's one foot in front of the other, and working with people who are going to support you, getting a support group or people who are like-minded like you, especially now with social media. It's easy to find people who are in the same situation as you are to help support you on your journey.
But, a lot of this is almost a cleansing of oneself as you enter into whatever your next chapter is going to be. Do you fear, though, people don't take the time to do something like this as they move on? They say, that's it, starting a new job, and they just rush right into it. Maybe, that might be a great new career, a great new job for them, but they haven't done any of this work you're talking about ahead of time. Does that mean we might set ourselves up for some sort of a failure?
Well, as the saying goes, if you keep on doing what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. Yeah, and also we live in this internet age. Having spent 20 years in the technology industry, the internet, as like everything else in life, is a double-edged sword. It's a blessing and a curse. Many people want instant gratification, and the things that are really important in life, as we all know, take time. And if you want something that's going to last or something for the long term, you're going to have to spend some time with yourself and on yourself. By the same token, I'm also a realist. I know people have bills to pay, and many people have been living check to check, so they need a job immediately. But I also know what I've learned over the years, if something's really important enough, you'll find and make the time for it.
Okay, I'm as guilty as the next person about this part, though. It's something new. It's the great unknown. How do you help us kind of embrace change? Most humans don't like change, that's for certain.
Yes, and especially as we get older, we like it even less and less.
That's right.
As the saying goes, how do you eat an elephant? A bite at a time. The process is designed to take small steps. So over a period of time, when you look back, you'll see where you've come. And it's really a journey of transformation from where you are now to where you want to be. And it will take time. It does take time to do the work, and some of the work is not pretty, and some of the work is not sexy, but the results are well worth it. So you always try to keep your eye on the prize. But again, it's done in small steps, small manageable steps.
And that kind of leads me to this next question. If somebody goes on and they start working through your Life Beyond the Pandemic handbook, if you will, how do we know we're making the right progress? Do you physically, are there milestones we will know we've reached if we're following this?
Yes, exactly. Like as I mentioned previously, in each chapter there are exercises to do, and these are simple exercises. Furthermore, I also designed the book to be an online course, so the online course takes you literally by the hand to do the exercises with downloads and such. But the book is designed really to take people step by step. And again, like everything else in life, if you have a bad day, you take a break, take a breather, and you just get back on the horse and you keep on going. But it's designed for small, manageable increments of progress. Because again, nobody goes from crawling to sprinting. You go from crawling to walking to running, and that's the same design here. It's just very gradual, and in no time at all you'll see the rewards of the new life, the new prosperous life that you want.
Yeah, certainly a lot of self-help books out there that are somewhat related to this. How do you describe yours as being different from anything else that's kind of out there? I have a notion, but I'd like to hear your take on that.
Yeah, well, I think my particular method, I take people from the spiritual and I bring them to the practical. Because the reality of it is, being an interfaith minister, the reality of it is that we need something outside of ourselves to help us. But the true reality is that has to manifest itself into the practical, into a job, into a new business, into whatever. So what this does, we're using the four components which we're made of. The physical, which is the body, the mental, which is the mind, the emotional, which is the emotional feelings, and the spiritual, which is the life force within us. So we're using all those components, and we start from the spiritual, and it manifests itself into the physical. Most systems will either just take one specific component. They just work on the spiritual. And I'm a big believer in prayer and meditation. Obviously, that's one of my vocations, being an interfaith minister. But I'm also a big believer in the practical. You could pray all you want, but as the saying goes, you have to meet God halfway.
Yeah, he helps those help themselves a bit too. You got to realize that.
Exactly.
As well. If someone picks this book up, what do you hope their final outcome will be? I would sense it's not necessarily you're going to just get a new job per se. What does Oreste DAversa say you ought to look like at the end of going through this handbook?
Well, I like the people to have a new and better and prosperous life. And let's chat about the word prosperous. Now, prosperous means many things to many people. To some people it means money. To some people it means health. To some people it means family. To some people it means finding their true life purpose and living it and making a difference in humanity. And to some people it means all. But from where they are now to a new life that they're happy to get up every morning of every day and praise the Creator, to acknowledge their good faith, and also to make a difference and help other people and make the world just a better place. I'm sure we've all seen the news, and we've heard the news lately of what's going on nationally and internationally. So if each of us tries to make the world a better place, just one good deed at a time, our world will change in no time at all.
All right, how do we get this book? Actually, your handbook's been out for a bit, so it's been available, but where can we pick this up?
Well, it's available on Amazon.com and all the leading bookstores.
So just look for it. It's Life Beyond the Pandemic, a Practical New Journey Handbook. Oreste DAversa, great to have you on. Thanks for sharing a bit, and encourage people to go check it out. I think we're kind of right at the cusp of some big changes for folks, and maybe this gets them to serious life fulfillment. How about that for a phrase?
No, I agree with you. I think we're hopefully rounding the turn on this pandemic, but once things settle down, I think people are going to be searching. And I really appreciate you having me on today's show, and I hope the information was helpful to you and your listeners.
Absolutely. Thank you, Oreste. It's great to talk to you. Oreste DAversa there, business coach, consultant, corporate trainer. He's an author. Also, he is an interfaith minister. And his book, pick it up. It's a handbook, literally, Life Beyond the Pandemic. Look for it at Amazon.com, your favorite book outlet. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio.
Hey, thanks so much. That was terrific. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to. I'm going to start diving into your book right as we speak.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks again for having me on your show today.
Absolutely. We'll do it again sometime.
Very good. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Okay. You too. Bye.
Bye.